Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to be tackling the brakes on the BMW 7 Series. Now if you watch one of my previous videos, you'll know that we tackled the rear brake calipers because one of the piston had actually seized, so I pretty much just stripped down and refurbished both of the rear two. Now because it had seized, there's a good chance that one of the discs had actually warped. So today I'm actually going to be swapping out the discs, the pads, the handbrake assemblies, because you know the parking brake assemblies, because there's a good chance they are the original. If not, then there's a good chance they haven't been changed in a while, but of course we will get into all that. We'll see what kind of condition the originals are in, and we're also going to be taking a look at the front brakes as well. Now I don't have any new discs or pads to go on. I'm sure there's, you know, plenty of life left in them, but we are going to be stripping everything down, inspecting them, giving everything a good clean up and greasing where necessary. But without further ado, let's get outside and let's get cracking. So as you can see, the car is up in the air, all four wheels are off the ground. I'm actually going to start on the rear because obviously we're going to be replacing the discs, pads, handbrake assembly, and yeah, giving everything a good clean up. Before we get started on removing the caliper, I'm just going to make sure we can remove the disc screw, which is a 6mm Allen. There we go. Is that removed? Next thing we'll do then is get started on the caliper. So we'll remove the securing clip at the front. There we go. Now we'll pop off the caps for the slider bolts. Both of them removed. Now we'll remove the slider bolts themselves. They are a 7mm Allen bolt. And now because the pads are tight on the disc, we'll just wind the piston back in a little bit with a G-clamp. That'll do. When you're winding the piston back in, always make sure you have the lid off of the brake fluid reservoir. Caliper should now come away. There we are. Let's put that over there and just remove the old pads. Next thing we need to do then is remove the caliper bracket. It's just held in by two 80mm bolts. There's one, and there's two, and there's the bracket off. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take the handbrake off, just so the disc can come off, because at the moment, because the handbrake's on, the shoes will be pushing out onto the disc. So let's go and turn it off. Just put the key in the ignition on, foot kind of on the brake. There we go, it's parking brake off. Give the disc a gentle tap. Disc off. Okay, so it's time to start disassembling the handbrake assembly then, and first thing I'm going to do is just remove the retaining screws. So they are a 5mm Allen. Just need to rotate them 45 degrees and they should pop out like so. There's one on each side. See the one removed. Next thing to do then is release the springs which hold the handbrake shoes in place. It doesn't really matter how you remove them because we have replacements, of course. So whichever way you see fit. Okay, that's the bottom one removed. Should be able to lift this off. There we are. Oh, that's interesting. One of the handbrake shoes is actually cracked and it's coming away. It's only a matter of time before that failed. These are very rusty. It's hard to say if they're the original or not. That date there? Is that 01, 03? Don't know, these could be the originals, I suppose. But yeah, that's everything removed. Need to keep this though. We don't have a replacement one of these, so I'm just going to give this a good clean up, the adjuster wheel. And now before we start reassembling anything, I'm just going to give all this a good clean up. Just got a wire brush here. Clean the hubs as well. Of course, we've got new discs going on. Okay, there we go then. Everything now nice and clean. All the loose debris has been removed. Let's start reinstalling the handbrake assembly. First thing we want to do then is install this adjuster clip. So it will go, if I can get it into position. So this is the cable itself here. You want to sit that in that gap and then close that down onto it and secure it in place. And now we can get our parking brake shoes themselves. So it will go like that. So these little notches, they will go into that clip at the top, and then at the bottom, that is what holds this adjuster screw. And then there's just the two springs, one at the bottom and of course one at the top, that holds everything together. So I like to build it up off of the car. It just makes things a little bit easier. So I put the adjuster wheel in at the bottom, and I put that spring in at the bottom, and now what I'm going to do is carefully put this over the hub and line up the slots. And now I'm going to secure this all in place with our new securing clips. And there we are, that's both of those securing clips now installed. All that's left is the top spring. Now this can be a real pain to get into position. You need to hook obviously one end into one of the holes and then drag the other. You really need to stretch this thing, and then it will eventually pop in, and then it'll hold everything very, very firm in place. There we go then, that's the top spring now into position, and that is the handbrake shoe assembly complete. And we can get ready to install our new disc. I just like to put a tiny amount of copper grease on the hub just to prevent it from seizing on and to help out the next person. Now the disc can go on. We can reinstall our securing screw again with a little bit of copper grease on. Oh, I must point out these are painted discs. They don't have like an additional coating on. If they did, then you're best to spray some brake cleaner and remove that. But because these are just painted, you know, as soon as the brake pad makes contact with this, it will start wearing this away. Let's tighten off. Now we can get the caliper bracket reinstalled. Now we can get our new pads ready. Now you don't need to add anti-seize, they already have anti-squeal pads on them, but I like to apply a bit anyway. It does not hurt, just keeps things moving nicely. And we can install the front pad into the bracket, and then the rear pad into the caliper. And install the caliper onto the bracket, and I'll line up the slide bolts. And we can reinstall our two caps for the slide bolts, and then the securing clip at the front. Perfect, and there we go then. Just got to do the exact same on the other side now. And as if like magic, the other side is now done. Now this side does have the brake pad wear sensor on, which I have replaced for a new one, of course. That just goes around there, clips in, and then joins in this junction box up there. And now we'll move on to the fronts and show them some attention. Now with the fronts, I'm not actually going to be replacing the discs or the pads. They appear to be fine. They seem to have plenty of life left in them, so I'm just going to leave them be. I am going to disassemble the caliper though, just to give everything a good clean up and grease everything that should be greased. And yeah, hopefully we can, you know, just give everything a good inspection and make sure everything is moving as it should. First thing we can do then is just remove the securing clip at the front. It just pops out like so. And then we can pop the caps off of the back for the slider bolts. There's one. And there's two. And now if we lever the caliper away from the bracket, there we are. There's the caliper removed. Oh, I didn't actually know these were 2-pot calipers. I mean, they are huge. Obviously it is a quite a big car, but yeah, I didn't even know BMW made twin pot calipers as standard. Right, let's get the pads removed from the caliper. There we are. Give these a good clean up. Remove the slider bolts as well. Give them a good clean up, and I'll put some red rubber grease on them. Now you don't have to use grease. BMW actually recommend to put these in dry, but I like to put some red rubber grease on. It does not hurt to have some grease on these. Just going to give the caliper a good clean out. Pistons, they are not brand new, we'll say that, but they don't look too bad. Definitely not as bad as the rears were, but we'll keep an eye on them. Okay, so just put some anti-seize on the pads then. Again, like I said, it's not needed, but it doesn't hurt to do so. So yeah, let's get these reinstalled into the caliper. There's one. And there's two. And we'll slot this back over the disc. Now I'm just going to give the slide bolts a good clean up. There we are, and then let's get some red rubber grease on these. There we go, let's get these reinstalled back into the caliper. Now it's just this securing clip at the front. It goes this way around. There we are. There we go then, that's this side done. And I've also went ahead and done this side as well. Okay then, so that is just pretty much now done. So the rears then, they have had the full works, new discs, new pads and new handbrake shoe assemblies. And then all we've done on the front is strip down the caliper, remove the pads, give everything a good clean up and a good inspection. Reinstalled everything back together with a touch of grease, and yeah, these slide bolts, they've been cleaned and greased as well. So yeah, job done pretty much. Okay then, so that is the brakes on the BMW 7 Series now officially done. So today we have replaced the rear discs, the pads, the parking brake assemblies. We have taken a look at the front. Everything seems to be good as far as they are concerned. We've stripped down the front calipers, you know, gave everything a good clean up and greased where necessary. Now just took it for a little test drive as well, just to bed the brakes in a little bit. We don't appear to have any issues, and I'm pleased to announce that we have no more sticking rear brake caliper, so that is good. Hopefully we see some benefit there out on the road. Hopefully we see the MPG go up as well, because if we have one of the rear wheels, so one of the drive wheels sticking, then that is not going to do the MPG any good. So hopefully we see it increase off of that 7 MPG mark. Now there is just one more job that we need to do with regards to the brakes, and that is to manually adjust the parking brake. So obviously we have the little adjuster cog in the hub itself in the parking brake assembly. All you need to do is push a screwdriver through one of the bolt holes and then just either flick it up or flick it down essentially. I've got a couple of videos on my channel how to do that. It's definitely not a biggie, so I'll do that at some point in the future. But yeah, that is everything for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Please give it a like, leave a comment down below, subscribe if you have not already done so, and I will see you all in that next one. Peace!